Stories untold. 16 years old, the world is ahead of me. I spread on my eyeshadow, drawing black lines along my eyes. I glide red gloss over my lips. Perfect smile. Do you want? Yeah, I reply. It's just another high until I couldn't say goodbye. I was only 16 when I didn't open my eyes. Story untold, Talia. 14 years old, just another day that I just can't stay. It'll just be one hit. How can they ask me to sit? Come with me. Drugs, zero tolerance. Get your things from your locker, son. But I'm, story untold, Max. Stories of my kids, my students. I lost Talia with her bright eyes that always question why, and Max, who I held in my arms at her funeral, only to hear that same night he got high, ending up in the hospital. As a high school English teacher, I deal with stories. The dog ate my homework ones, and the Huckleberry Finn ones. But I also stories like Talia and Max, in which heroine, the villain, steals my kids. Their untold stories are why I stand here. I stand before you as the first one in my family to have a PhD, who 6 years ago sat in this amphitheater as an undergraduate thinking I'd never be here. And let me tell you, there were times that I wanted to give up. I'm sure many of us have wanted to give up as we tried to bang out a 30-page term paper, or fellow doctoral students, when we were trying to survive that ruler during the formatting of our dissertations. But every time I wanted to give up, I saw their faces, those that wouldn't stand next to me, and also the faces that may be looking out in this graduation and others. In you, I see the hope. I stand as a daughter, sister, auntie, friend, counselor, graduate center, community worker. I stand because people believed in me and heard my story long before I did. I stand cradling other stories, stories of hope. Imagine a youth, days before his graduation, told that he couldn't graduate because of one class. He came for a goodbye and a hug, dropping to my floor crying because, see, he was going to become a father. I refused to surrender, handing him my doctoral entrance essay, which shared these untold stories, and I said, "Silence is not golden. I won't be silenced, will you?" He hugged me, and I became Drill Sergeant Miss J for the next few days, yelling at him until he completed over 30 I notes. He walked across that stage under a beaming gaze and got his hug, his voice found, and his story told. We will cross this stage. Each of us has our stories that we carry that have pushed us here. Many of us never thought we would. I know I did not. I often ask myself, why are you here? The girl who hated school and so desperately wanted to be free of it now has not only completed a bachelor's degree, but a master's and a doctorate, and is also a teacher. The irony. I've been here for a decade. We joke about how it's a spaceship, this 50 Shades of Grey bastion of public education, which I chose for its possibilities and array of voices. When I enrolled, I asked how could I trade Stonehill's gleaming granite courtyard for the concrete jungle of UMass Dartmouth. And what a jungle it was. Zombie wars with Nerf darts, bathrooms at 45-degree angles, stairs that led to nowhere, trees that bloom pink and white, constant breezes that make the sun feel just right, diverse voices of my peers and professors, the gay pride flag waving next to the state flag, African drums pounding as we learned about rhetoric and CVPA. It is home. When I brought my students, one senior girl, a CD student, said, "Miss J, I wish we'd come here earlier. I want this. I would have done things different." I corrected her. You can have this. A girl whose parents didn't have a college education, so she'd never known what a university feels like. She didn't care about the concrete. She cared about the people, the freedom, the possibilities. This power of public education has meant I never regretted trading in that regal purple of Stonehill for the nautical blue of UMass Dartmouth. We are part of a community that has been navigating turbulent waters, as the two stories I started with reveal. Last year, 1,173 people died from accidental opioid overdoses in Massachusetts. That's more than 3 people per day. Unfortunately, our campus has not escaped unscathed from these waters. I would ask us to take a moment and remember our fellow Corsair, Colin Gear, who we tragically lost. And let us recognize that the number of opioid overdoses is increasing, as is the number of people prescribed medication for mental illness, as is the amount of high-stakes testing and privatization of education, as is the gap that grows between the rich and the poor, as is the number of people incarcerated. A complex issue that touches many of us, leading me to ask, what do we do with these graduate degrees that only 7.2% of the people in the South Coast have? And undergraduates, you help comprise the 13% who have a bachelor's degree. Think about that privilege, and what should we do with it? We are the South Coast. We come from a history of strong workers, many were immigrants, who combated the present with strength and determination through hope for the possibilities of the future. Today, we often feel trapped in a tyranny of no options. But we must remember that knowledge and imagination are arms against what has been. We have the responsibility to not live in the shadow of the past or the Instagram flashes of the present. Don't get me wrong. I'll indulge with the rest of you in the not-so-perfect selfie with my cohort. I'm sure right now we are contributing greatly to the 1.8 billion digital images uploaded daily. In 4 days, we upload more photos than the world's population. Think about that. There are more images of ourselves in under 4 days than the 7 billion people in the world. What do these images say? What stories are there? How can we forget the image of Aylan Kurdi, the 3-year-old Syrian boy drowned on the beach? Many of us shared and reposted it, but how many times, if it's not captured and boxed in pixels, do we not see the reality that breathes in front of us? Who escapes our gaze as we see this jungle of a world through Gorilla Glass and life-proof cases? Life-proof cases. We may crack, but not our phones. We bear the stories and scars, the joys and the tears. But we are here. We, the class of 2016, have accomplished something that our parents may not have, that our peers may not have. See the people around you and know that we're all connected. Never forget the power of human connection through the stories that we not only hear, but listen and add to. Let us not forget the stories untold, but let us not fear telling the stories that need to be told. That is why I am here. My 6-year-old nephew often asked when I would leave for class, "But why do you have to go?" My inadequate reply, "Because I have school," would only lead him to ask, "But you already know everything, just stay." So this summer, I took him to the ridge of this amphitheater and explained how I become a doctor here because of all that school. "Why? Are you going to work in a hospital?" he asked. "No," I laughed. "Not that kind of doctor. I'm going to help heal people's minds." "Why would you do that?" "Some people have boo-boos that we can't see, but we have to help them feel better." He nodded, giving in to the temptation to roll down the hill. My simplistic explanation of my degree reflects the transformative power of public education. Each of us has the power over the stories of tomorrow. Some of you have the power to heal cities, to heal commerce, to heal justice, to heal bodies, stories to be told. It is stories told through human connection that have brought us here. The stories that we carry can become the battle cries for change and social justice. We are not ruled by the darkness of the present. There is hope. Although the future seems shrouded in the present's shadow that is cast from the structures of the past, we do not live in a world of impossibility. We are not the stories untold. We are the stories to be told. I will repeat my question to my student 4 years ago. Silence is not golden. I won't be silenced, will you?